Lawrence Williams, and I'm here today with the Sharing Space podcast on behalf of the Black Commission. Today we have Miss Nikki Fried. Could you tell the people, who is Nikki Fried?
Well, first of all, I'm so excited to have this opportunity to get to have your audience get to know me a little bit better. So, who am I? That is a question that I do get asked pretty often on the campaign trail. You know what? The answer is I'm just like everybody else. I'm not a career politician. I've been practicing law for almost 20 years. Everything from being a public defender in Alachua County to fighting for homeowners during the foreclosure defense, fighting for our foster care kids, fighting for the expansion of medical marijuana here in our state, and now our Commissioner of Agriculture. But I'm not a career politician. I'm somebody who in 2018 got fed up with the system, said I'm tired of watching what happens in Tallahassee, watching the nepotism, the corruption, and decided to run for office. And so I'm just like everybody else. I just at one point in my life decided to raise my hand and say, I will serve. But I was born and raised in Miami. My mom is a diehard Democrat, teacher for 25 years. My dad is a diehard Republican. But I was taught some pretty fundamental principles when I was growing up. One, and in the Jewish faith, which is what I am, we call it tikkun olam, to heal the world. Two, that when you see an injustice in society, you have a moral obligation to stand up. And three, if you see a bully, you have to fight them, fight back. And that's what I've been doing for 3.5 years against Ron DeSantis. So that's kind of a nutshell of who I am. I'm a gym rat, so love going to the gym, but love going to the beach. Like I said, I'm just like everybody else, just happen to be at this moment running for governor of the state of Florida.
What skills from your current agriculture commissioner role prepared you for your role as the upcoming governor?
Well, so most people don't know this, but the Commissioner of Agriculture is one of our 4 statewide elected positions, a member of the Clemency Board, a member of the Florida Cabinet. I oversee 19 different divisions. It's about a $1.9 billion agency, 4,600 employees. So when it comes to everything that I do every single day in my office, managing of my staff, managing of really complex issues, and I that every single day I need to balance the interests of agriculture with the environment. And this is in many governor's office. The things that dealing with agriculture was second largest economic driver for our state, diversity with inside of agriculture. We deal with the school nutrition program. We are consumer issues, everything from fraud at the gas station to our fair rides to nonprofits to security guards to the concealed weapons program. So this is a really large agency. And quite honestly, last 3.5 years, I've been acting governor in some respects. When the governor went MIA during the pandemic and was nowhere to be found, wasn't doing updates for the pandemic, I did press conferences every single day and assumed some of those responsibilities and some of those leadership positions. So I am ready on day one. And I know our government and our executive branch inside and out. I know where all the bodies are buried. I know where the money is buried, and looking to shake things up when I get to the governor's office.
Now, I'd like to ask you, what is your platform?
Um, Actually, my platform is the people's platform. For the last year and a half after I announced that I was running for governor, I crisscrossed the entire state, having roundtables in the Hispanic community. We're calling it the Nikki Escucha Tour. For everybody else, it's a Nikki Listens Tour, where we met with different demographics from inside the Hispanic community, so Colombian and Puerto Rican and Venezuelan, everybody in the Hispanic community. On top of that, we met with African American community, the Haitian community, the Jamaican community, the Muslim community, the LGBTQ plus community, seniors, and everything. And the things that I was hearing on the ground that was affecting different demographics and different communities is what created our platform. So it's everything from affordability. People can't afford their rent. People can't afford their homes, to what's happening on our streets that everybody talks about, the mass gun shootings. But people aren't talking about what happens every single day in so many of our communities, the gun violence. In fact, every day I wear these Bullets for Life on my wrist. These are an organization of incredible women down in Miami who are taking bullets off the streets. So the things that I talk about, and especially when it comes to our Black community, I know that so many of our white politicians go to the Black community and they talk about two things, and two things only. They talk about criminal justice reform and they talk about gun violence. And we're doing just the opposite. We're talking about economic opportunities. How are we going to lift up these communities? How are we going to make sure that these communities, after the redlining and Jim Crow laws and the war on drugs, how are we going to make sure that we are truly creating economic opportunities inside of their communities to lift people up? So we have amazing ideas. I was actually at in Jacksonville this week with Bakari Sellers, CNN commentator. His dad is one of amazing civil rights activists from the 1960s, and hearing his stories. And as we're traveling around Jacksonville, talking with small business owners, what they may need on the ground, hearing things that are new, innovative ideas. So my platform is your platform. And it will continue to evolve as the issues on the ground with people. But it's affordability, it's education, it's economics. It is now reproductive health care with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. But I am somebody who rolls up her sleeves and gets to work every day for the people of our state.
What is your stance on Roe versus Wade being overturned?
I'm angry. I'm very angry. I feel like every single week I keep losing my voice because I'm screaming, because this was something that people of our country and our state did not want. The right to privacy. This is a human rights issue. This is a healthcare issue, and unfortunately, women are going to die because of this decision. And right now in the state of Florida, we have a 15-week abortion ban that the governor celebrated when Roe was overturned, and he wants to go further. I have said I will do everything in my power as commissioner to stand up for women's rights to choose. And as governor, I will make sure that one, I veto any piece of legislation that comes my way that it restricts a woman's right to choose. I've already started to put together a legal team to start drafting a new right to privacy, because unfortunately, this Florida Supreme Court is going to take away that right to privacy that's in our Constitution today. And that is from Supreme Court justices that were appointed by not only Ron DeSantis, but also my primary opponent, Charlie Crist. So the decisions that they made as governors are going to impact our lives. So I'm already working on a new constitutional amendment, declaring a state of emergency on day one. And unfortunately, we also know who gets harmed the most. It's those in our communities of color that may not have the same types of access to healthcare, that may have to travel outside the state of Florida and may not have the means to do so. So I know who's going to be hurt and how many women are going to suffer. So I am going to continue to lose my voice because I'm going to continue to stand up and fight for the women of our state.
Miss Nikki, I would like to ask you two questions. One being, what is your stance on the Don't Say Gay bill? And what other current bills would you address or amend?
Well, thank you for that very important question. Look what's happening in our education system. We're creating war zones inside of our education. We're supposed to be a safe place for people to go, for our kids to go to learn about each other. As again, somebody from the Jewish faith, um, you have to learn about the Holocaust to make sure it doesn't repeat itself. You have to learn about slavery to make sure that we don't go back there, and you understand the history of our state. If you don't talk about diversity, you don't talk about inclusion, you're not developing a well-rounded society. And so what I have said is that, look, what this governor has done is spent the last 3 years trying to divide us, put fear and hatred, and make people feel less than because they happen to not maybe agree with him. They might not be his supporters, or the radical right have created these culture wars in our schools. And so has to be a time where we start to reverse so many of these pieces of legislation. We can go back to this bill. We can go back to his anti-woke bill. I don't even know what that means at this point. Or the anti-protest bill from last year, making it harder to vote. I mean, there are so many things that has been done to our state in the last 3 years that we got to reverse course on, including the 15-week abortion ban. I mean, basically any bill that they basically have passed over the last 2.5 years to 3 sessions that have really made it lives more difficult for people, creating these divisiveness and divisive culture in our state. People just want to be left alone. Love who you want to love. Talk about the history of our state. Talk about the history of our country so that you create a citizenry that is actually well-rounded to be dealing with the times. And unfortunately, this governor is moving us backwards. We got to learn to accept one another. We got to be able to just talk freely to one another. We have to make sure that our professors can teach at the higher ed system what they're doing to higher ed, asking our professors to check boxes of which of if they're liberal or moderate or conservative. That how about freedom of speech? How about freedom for our academics? We are in a dire situation now that he is on the cusp of taking democracy away from our state and from our country, taking away two black congressional districts throughout in the state when he redid the maps. This guy is a tyrant. And so it is scary to see what he is doing to our state. And so we've got a lot of work to do. And I'm counting on everybody to be part of this change, to be part of this movement, because when I become governor, it's all hands on deck to reverse some of these legislative changes that are going our state in the wrong direction.
So, Nikki, why you?
Why
Why do
me?
you feel as though you're the next governor?
Why me? Because I am a champion for the people every single day of my life, from doing soup kitchens and for Humanity and community service hours when I was in high school, to becoming student body president at UF, creating the most diverse cabinet that has ever been seen at the University of Florida, for fighting for homeowners during the foreclosure crisis, fighting for people as I was a past public defender. I know how to win our state. I did it as a Democrat in 2018, first one to win our state since Barack Obama took it in 2012. Every day I wake up and say, how can I make the lives of our people better? That I'm always ready for a challenge, that there is no obstacle that I am not willing to overcome. And that's what the people are looking for right now. They're looking for somebody, yes, to stop this craziness that is happening from the extremists on the right. But they want somebody who is going to lead with compassion, who's going to understand that you are leading a state of 22 million people and you need to have convictions. But you also need to know that you can't just govern just for one group of people. You've got to bring people together and lift people up. And I understand through all of my life experiences what this job entails and what it means. And I just want to just tell a quick side story. I was doing an interview with an attorney in Orlando, a black attorney in Orlando, and we got done with the podcast. And he said, I just want to tell you what it meant when we lost Andrew Gillum. And he kind of went through and said, Andrew had a financial plan, a plan of really how to help the Black community of our state. And so it
Hmm.
wasn't just that we lost Andrew as a leader of our community or somebody that looks like us, that this was our hope of really changing how things are operating in our state, how things truly matter. And it was such a deeping, heart-filled conversation that every single day I realize what is on the line if I don't win. Because if I don't win, sure, I can go off and I can, do something else with my career. But if I don't win, I recognize who loses. And you're not going to find a lot of people out there that recognize who they're fighting for every single day. That is who I am. The passion that I bring every single day to my job is the passion that I will bring every single day as your next governor.
Outside of politics, Nikki, what are some of your closing thoughts? What is some encouragement that you would like to give on to the community to help them on with their everyday lives?
Yep.
What would you tell the people?
Look, I tell people help is on the way. I am talking to everyday Floridians that are saying, look, I can't afford my rent. I can't afford my property insurance. I can't afford food. I can't afford gas. I'm working two jobs. I can't afford healthcare. I can't afford daycare for my kids. Seniors who can't afford their medicine. And you don't have a government that works for you. And they're saying, we're going to help you make a better quality of life, the American dream. And so I understand, I hear it, I see it every single day. I've got plans of how to make your lives better. And my whole platform is based on lowering your cost of living, but also raising your standards. We know that our education system is failing our kids, that 90% of Black boys read underneath the third grade reading level. And we know that our jails and prisons are built based on our third grade reading levels. That's got to stop.
Mhm.
And we got to be focusing on our kids and our education system. There's so much more work that needs to get done in our state. And so the hope that I leave to the people that are listening to this is that you will have somebody in that governor's office who is going to make your life better, who is going to say, I am going to do the work that needs to get done so that you can know that your government is working for you.
Now, that literacy, that's a touching point to me. What does that look like? What do programs like that look like in action?
One, it's really going into the schools early. My mom was a preschool teacher. She taught 3 and 4 year olds. She used to always say that who a kid is at 4 is who they are at 44. And that is really important to get to our kids at an early age. So we've got to have full time BPK. We've got to make sure that full time and fully paid, because so many of so many single mothers are working 2 jobs and they can't be home with their kids, and then they're not getting schooled. So part of it is paying for the education. Two is also making sure that our after school programs are funded, and that we're going in and also lifting up so many of our organizers on the ground, the community groups that are doing some of that work. There is an incredible barber that I met in St. Pete, and he has this whole reading program that every single time that a young child sits in his chair, he actually makes them read to him, and then he gives them a book
Hmm.
to go home and to build a library. It's programs like that that are really doing the work
Hmm.
inside of our communities that need to be funded, need to be uplifted, and they need to be replicated all over our state. And so we need to be focusing on the early childhood education and focusing on so much of the work that so many community members are already doing that needs to be replicated.
It truly takes a village, and
Yep.
I really admire that. Um, Nikki, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate the passion that you have for your candidacy. Um, we're gonna go ahead and close us out. Uh, you guys be on the lookout for further podcasts with further candidates. This is Lawrence Williams with the Black Sharing Space. Nikki, do you have anything else to say?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say thank you, Lawrence, for having me on, and Greg, your producer, who's been so generous with his time tonight. And thank you for doing this, because I think it's really important. Whoever, thought that back, 50 years ago, that we'd have this type of technology and this way to really hear from your candidates, and to see them out of computers, I mean, off of TVs, and be able to have this type of conversation. So this is a really important platform that you guys are having to listen. And I just want to leave this with to your viewers. What you see is what you get. I'm through and through who I am. And so hopefully that's come through on this, that I'm just like everybody else. I want to make a difference and leave this world and leave our state better than it was given to me and given to us. And so I hope that I'm asking for your support, for everybody who's listening. We have a primary August 23rd. So hopefully, if you've already gotten your ballots, that you're turning them back in, or you're making a plan to early vote or vote on August 23rd of Election Day. So hopefully, I will have
Mhm.
gained your vote. If you want to hear more about my platform, hear more about me, follow us on social media. Go to our website, nikkifried.com. That's NIKKIFRIED. I sit on this thing all the day and all night, responding to messages from my supporters and some of my anti-supporters. I'm very accessible, because that's what it should be. It should be actually governing with the people, not for the people.
And that's so true. That's so true. You got to be able to get yourself out there and stay available to the people so that you can stay relevant to their issues as well as all the changes that need to be made. I thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Nikki, for your time. This is Lawrence Williams with the Black Commission Sharing Space. Be on the lookout for more.
Thank you.